Welcome. You've tuned into the Janie Mac Has Your Back podcast, brought to you by Agashell.
Good choice. Now go grab your favorite beverage, go for a walk, or pretend you're working and keep smiling away at your boss as we dive into conversations about things that matter.
Or not.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Janie Mac Has Your Back podcast brought to you by Agashell. Hello, Michelle.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm good. And looking forward to diving into this topic, which we were kind of talking that we both love music. I mean, we have different music tastes. I think that we've also mentioned in another episode, like there's Michelle in the rap corner and there's Agakura in the opera corner. But then music in general, I think, has made such a difference in our lives or has been such an important thing. I think, do you have playlists for every mood, as in crying, for dancing, for cleaning the house, for getting motivated? Do you have different songs for every mood?
I probably do, but I don't actually have it like officially on a playlist. And actually, I was going to say, so I was a huge Eminem fan, Mr. Marshall Mathers, and he's released a new track called Houdini, and it's like that. Do you know what? I've been singing it all morning, and now I cannot remember. But he's taken a sample because hip hop is all samples. That's what it is. And it's an old song by the Steve Miller Band called Abracadabra, but the tune has gone out of my head. But I was like so excited this morning, like Andrew had me listening to it because he did a whole concert in Detroit, and then it was like, I can't believe I can't remember it now. But yeah, so when you said about moods, that kind of got me set up for the day, really, like, because it's kind of like he's bringing out the old Slim Shady type thing and his old character, and yeah, it's really a kind of really upbeat, rather than you think of hip hop and it's not gangster rock, put it that way. But yeah, but like you, I've trained classically. I like all sorts, but yeah, probably my fave is that. And music just gets you right. It can make you, it can, if you're sad sometimes, you just want to feel that feeling and cry, and then when you want to dance, you just want to. I love Aaliyah for dancing. And that type of thing. And Diana Ross, my very first album that I bought.
Oh yeah. I mean, like my old piano, I can't sit still when I mean, there's some songs where even if they were played at a reception and you were supposed to sit still, it would be impossible. But then another thing that then came up was like, why don't we try and find a song title for every podcast episode? Because that would link the podcast and the coaches that we are to also the passionate musicians. And so we're going to give it a try. And this episode is called The Way We Were by the song from Barbara Streisand.
Yeah. And before we dive in, I've remembered it. So it's abracadabra. So he uses this sample throughout the track. But Andrew just said to me this morning, he was like, he played it and he goes, "This is what it's from," and I went, "I know this already." So yeah, but yeah, sorry to interrupt. It just literally popped into my head. I was like, "Yay, I remembered."
I mean, I hear the abracadabra, and I'm in my parents' car when I was a kid. So amazing.
Yeah. Back to Barbara.
Yeah. So The Way We Were, and my question is, Michelle, just a younger version of you, any age, and then tell us the way you were.
Oh Lord. You know what? I've gone straight to, when you said it, I was like, oh my God, I can't think of that. And then I'm like, yeah, now I can. So probably my teenage years, which is probably, where everybody goes, oh, so awkward. And I was just really, when I look back, I was really anxious. I loved my own company. I still do. I was probably like, I don't know if you call it the black sheep, but I was probably the one that was more in my room. Like there'd be, New Year's and parties in the house, or Christmas at my granny and granddad's, and I'd be like, oh, I know I don't want to go. There's too many people, and they're gonna make me sing. And I was a bit of a loner, actually. That's,
Mm.
I mean, I did have friends, don't get me wrong, but I just loved my own company. I was in my own little world with my guitar, and my music, really. I used to fall asleep. Do you know what I used to do? I used to, so my mom and dad, do you remember ghetto blasters?
Yes.
The big, like, with
Yes.
they had like the CD player, and then they had the speakers, the two speakers, and you could record the two tape decks. I used to have the tape in, and I'd listen to the radio, and I'd make my own playlist. So, and it was mainly, if I could, I'd be listening for ages. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be still up, and I'd have to be up for school, right? And I'd be just, oh, Mary J. Blige, yes, like stuff like that, like Brandy, yes, Monica, yes, like all that kind of R&B music, and then dance music. I love the Prodigy as well. So, and that's another memory that's come into my head just as I said that. Me and my cousin used to go to this place. I was probably about 16. We were underage, 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't for our age, but I'll never have this memory of, it's a place called, it was called Timpanelli. Now, I love dance music, but we were never into the drugs. So we didn't take the drugs or anything like that. We barely even drank, to be fair. And she's tiny. And she literally walked in by the bound. I was like, oh, we can't. And I'm not tiny. Like, she's just tiny in stature, in everything, in petiteness. I'm definitely taller than her. And we ended up going through these bounds. She was like, just come on. Very just assertive. And I was like, she said, don't think about it, just do it. And I'll never forget us just going between these bouncers. And we got in.
Wow.
That's it. So, but that is not me. That wouldn't be me. So yeah, I just remember this kind of shy person, maybe, that kind of wanted to be a little bit more. So I always did what I was told as well. And then I think as I grew into started to get to my later teens, I started to rebel a bit. What about you? What is your memory that comes up of your younger kind of Aggie?
So the younger kind of me that comes to my mind is me in my early 20s, and how much time I spent, or should I say lost, on just being so self-conscious about my body and my shape. I literally wouldn't leave the house if I didn't feel like what I was wearing was covering my bum, because that was like the thing that I was so conscious about, And it's so interesting because I just did this intense coaching training that will definitely come up in another episode. But the trainer was like, babies don't run around asking, does my bum look big in this diapers, And my day evolved around how big my bum. I literally thought that people would stop what they were doing
and look at your bum.
See how huge my bum was. And sometimes I remember even friends saying, hey, we're going to this place. It was in summer, want to come, going to a park and so on. And I didn't go because I didn't have an outfit that I thought I could be allowed to leave the house with, and that I would just be ridiculous. And we're talking about a blouse that did not cover my bum entirely. And what I said was like, I needed to do work for uni. I don't know, but I know that I spent that day alone in my little student apartment, ending up not being with people because I was so self-conscious about my body. So that's the younger version of me and everything about me I felt was ridiculous. The way I looked, the way I moved, the way, and I know that part of it was also like being a minority in a society where people just look differently. But I made it such a topic. There were times I wouldn't do things because I didn't want to stand out, and because I thought like I was the reason why people would stop and laugh, So that was me for you in my 20s. And the question I would ask you, you had a conversation with that version of Michelle that you just described. what would you tell her from today? Like, what would be the message from the future that you would tell her?
Yeah, and interestingly, can we just go back to what you were talking about for a second, and then I'll answer if that's okay? Because it's interesting, like you talk about like your bum, like nowadays, bums are like big bums are like in, right? It's like
Yeah, they all came a bit too late. Kim
late
Kardashian,
for
J
your
Lo.
20s, yeah. But
Where
actually,
were they?
what I'm noticing is that in a way, celebrities now are really skinny again, like stick thin. It's always going to change, right? And I guess it's how we perceive ourselves. And it goes back to this question you've just asked me around what would I tell
Mm-hmm.
that person? Be a little bit more devious, have a bit more fun, and don't stop. Like, don't take others. I think we mentioned it before in another episodes previously that it's almost like go your own path. Like,
Mm.
so don't be scared to just dive in and jump in. And I still am in a way. And I still do take other people's opinions on board a little bit too much. It's always good to like get opinions but
Mm.
the thing is we don't always have to take those opinions on board, right? That's our choice. So
Yes.
it's great to get the feedback and to get that, but actually, do I want to? Do you know what? That really wasn't helpful. So just keep it to yourself, please. Like, totally. So I would say to myself, yeah, be more of you and not to be scared of that. And yeah, just go for what you want out of life. And but definitely to have more fun as well, like that. That popped into my head and I will never forget it. My cousin just had no fear. It
Mhm.
didn't matter. And what was the worst that could happen? They just stop us. And they
Mhm.
did it. We actually got it. You know what I mean? So that was just like, um, yeah, what does it matter? What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, have more fun. And whatever that looks like, right? Because it's going to change as we get older. So,
And I love this. And immediately the question that comes up is like, what steps did you take? Or was there a point, was there an age where you realized that it was to just let go and have more fun? Was there a time when that switched and you became that person?
I'm I don't know if I am that person now, to be fair. I still think there's a lot of me holding back from that. I'm an analyst, like, so I will mull things over in my head. I risk assess bloody everything. Great for my job, but not very good for my personal life. Uh
But are you shy? Would you say you're shy and you don't you avoid groups and meetings and
I think my job is probably I don't have a choice in my job. I have to
mm,
just like it's. I mean, I do. I would like if I didn't progress and I have progressed, then yeah, I could have just stayed in the background. But I am ambitious, so I do like what I've learned is I do like going outside my comfort zone, even though it's like really but I used to be very, yeah, like wouldn't like to go to parties or anything, kids
mhm,
parties, or you remember you'd have Paris the person a lot and all that, and oh, Michelle get involved, or when we were on family holidays, Michelle, no, I prefer to just sit read a book on my own. And that was so I would be my granny always said I was quietly confident. I was doing what I wanted to do. I didn't
mhm,
want Was it because of shyness or was it because I didn't want to do it? I think it was a little bit of both. And now what
mhm.
I've realized, and you asked me what age, and I think I have to be honest, this has only really taken like seeds in me in my 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Don't you
like
just love being in your 40s? I love it.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And I think, when you do things maybe that like over especially with the coaching, I think the coaching is just,
Mhm,
as we've discussed, for me and both for you, just opened us
mhm,
to whole new self-awareness, and also that not just that we can help people, but also that it's for people out there, it's you're working on yourself. Like every day I need to do that because I can't coach somebody if I'm not like, I can't preach to you if I'm not trying to do it for myself as well, and be the best version of me. But yeah, definitely my 40s. I mean, for you, what, like, when was that kind of realization turning point?
So
Your bum, it was okay to have a big bum. Sorry. Yeah.
not just to have a big bum, but that people wouldn't stop what they were doing to laugh at me. Um, so first, what I would tell that person in her early 20s, sitting on a hot summer day in a small, tiny student room and not going out because she doesn't have the combi, the outfit, is you are good the way you are. You're good enough. And if anyone stopped and laughed at you, it would say something about them, not about you. Because that's something that I've come to learn about bullying. It's like it says something about the person who does it, not about you.
Yes.
There was also a lot, what I didn't mention before is that I was probably the first one in my class, the first girl to wear a bra. So I was quite mature for my age. And so at 12, I already had 20-year-old construction workers like throwing comments at me. And so that made
Okay.
me really conscious about my body. And I would hide everything under a big sweater. Um, and my mom would make me wear big sweaters because I think that was her way of trying to protect me from looks of men
Huh.
when I was still a girl, right? But then the
Mm,
whole thing evolved into this whole self-conscious thing, you know? And when I actually became more confident in myself, so I'm an introvert, yes, and I love my own company, so we're on the same page with that.
yes.
I literally sometimes, if I don't kick myself, I can be in the house for days, you know, like, and not because
Oh,
I'm
yeah. Me too.
not
Yeah.
feeling well, but because I'm okay here and I do my steps here. I get my
Yeah.
15,000 steps in here in this tiny apartment too. But what changed me was when I moved to Spain. So I'm literally someone who's always like gets motivation from outside. And I saw how women, young and middle-aged and so on, women just couldn't care less to have those broad hips and wear a t-shirt
Mm.
that wouldn't cover it. And I remember the first week when I was living in Spain, in Barcelona, I would watch women and be annoyed, like, how can she not cover her bum? And then I realized it switched at some point, like, why should she be covering her bum? You know,
Yes.
where is it written that broad hips are not allowed on God's earth, you know? And
And
then,
yeah, some
oh
of the
my,
Spanish women are the most beautiful in the world, right? I mean, they're so liberating with their bodies. They're even like my cousin grew up
yeah,
there. Shaving armpits is considered, no, I don't need to do that, right? So it's almost they're so, and they're also more sexually kind of out there, I find as well, right? So it doesn't like they're liberated in a way as women. I noticed that. I've only noticed that. I don't know if you've noticed that on when you've lived there, but I've noticed that when I've been on holidays there. You know, going topless, they wouldn't even think twice. You know what I mean? It's just this is my body. Like, you know, everybody has this, and yeah,
mm, okay, well, that part, but especially the being like, this is like, I mean, I studied singing there, and then when we would have performances, there were women who would just be like, I want to wear this dress and I'm going to get it in my size. There's no
yeah,
reason I'm not going to wear a dress that shows my arms just because they're not worked. You know, it was such a it was so liberating because I saw there were all shapes and forms and nobody ever seemed to care. Definitely, like nobody, and that's when I started being like, I've been robbing myself of so much, and I still have it a bit, mind you. When I'm, for example, sitting at a say we're at a restaurant, and then I'll be like, oh, I'll get some salt, or oh, I'll get some extra pepper or a napkin, whatever. I literally walk, and I've noticed the first thing I do is like straighten whatever I'm wearing because like I still have this impulse in me when I
mm,
walk through rows or when I'm sitting at the back of a bus and I have to get off and so on. But it's gotten so much better. It's gotten so much better
yeah.
than it used to be. I mean, I wouldn't walk through to the blackboard at school even if I knew the answer because I didn't want my classmates to laugh
Yeah,
at me. That's how bad it was. Yeah.
yeah. And a question just popped into my head because do you think a lot? Because I do feel when I look back through my childhood, a lot of by family members in society probably
Hmm.
a lot was put on your appearance. You're fat or your hair color or that looks terrible or that doesn't
Mm.
suit you or that and this and stuff like that. Or yeah, I can remember some comments like and just thinking when I look back, how could we not be conscious, right? When you're getting that as like in your early teens and going through, you know, especially as young girls growing up and the perception and you're seeing all these magazines and your favorite pop star is like a size zero and do you know what I mean? And then you have your immediate kind of community around you also giving you these messages. It's quite difficult not to have this thing in your head, right?
Oh, now that you say it, because so I was born and raised in Germany, but my parents are of African background, and in their culture, the lighter a black woman is, the more pretty she is. And
Oh,
I
wow.
am I'm very dark for a dark person. So I'm dark for a dark person. And but I remember my mom would be talking with a friend. They would be like our age or younger at that time. And they would be like, oh, she's light skinned. She won't have a problem finding a man. And so that stuck in my mind too. Like,
Wow.
now that you're saying
Yeah,
it, even when they weren't talking to you, but the way they would talk
that's what
about,
yeah.
or in the German community, it would be like, I don't know how she could get someone being that fat. So people didn't have to talk to you, but the
Yeah. And
way they
people
would
still
talk,
do it. Yeah.
yeah,
People still do
true.
it, but like, oh my God, what is she wearing? And sometimes you can't help but go, oh, well, bless,
Yes.
like maybe she shouldn't wear that. But it wouldn't be the first thing I'd notice. I just but have you ever been around people watchers? So, but in a way that like
Mhm.
you'd be sitting with them and they literally you're talking to them and
Yes.
they're not looking at you, right? And you're like, what are you doing? And oh, I'm just like, and you call them out and just go, what are you doing? And then they go, oh, yeah, no, I'm just like people watching. But it comes across really like weird. It's like staring people out of it. And you kind of feel like, whoa, I'm talking to you, by the way.
It's like mobile watchers, the people you talk to, and they're looking at their mobile and writing endless texts. And then you have
Yeah, I have to admit, I do sometimes do that, like with the other half, because I'll be like, okay, is he finished talking now?
yeah,
Maybe he'll notice I'm doing so that's deliberate to be fair.
exactly. But with people watchers, I actually um what I prefer about people watch is that they integrate you in their watch if they're nice. They'll be like, well, I think this couple is on a first date. What do you think? But I'm not comfortable with staring at people because it's like I don't want people to stare at me. So I'm not.
Somebody goes, don't turn around now, but look at them. I'm like, but you've just told me not to look around. Like, what am I gonna like turn my eyes like inside my head and like they're gonna stick out?
That is so amazing the way some people go. But you are right, totally right. It's not just what people told us about us, but it's actually also what we grew up hearing around us, even
Yeah,
when you didn't. People may not, and my mom wasn't conscious that I was sitting there as her dark daughter, listening to her saying that.
yeah.
And
It's
so it's so interesting. I think like the way we were, like the title of this episode, actually, I would like to also like bring it home by honoring not by honoring you, and not just like for who you are, but for all the steps that you've taken to become who you are from who
yes,
you were. And each and every one of the listeners, just take time out to honor the way you were, but also who you've become and all the work that you've put into who you've become.
absolutely. And I have a quote because we've also
Yes.
decided we're going to end on a little quote.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to say this lady's name wrong. It's Maya Angelou.
Maya
So
Angelou. Yes,
yes, you know her?
I love
Okay.
her.
And please say that again. I love when you say like, because I'm obviously you can tell I have a little bit of some foreign languages, but I'm not fluent in any, obviously except for English. And just say her name again for us all.
Maya Angelou.
Oh yeah,
I think
Maya Angelou.
that's how I've heard
Yeah,
it pronounced always.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it ties in nicely. It's almost like this was a sixth sense because I read this recently. So
Mm-hmm.
success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Because it was all like when I read about it, it was like about success, but we all have different ideas of that. And hers was that actually, is it money? Is it, but yeah, but liking what you do and
Yeah,
yourself and how you do it. It's just like that to me kind of could be, yeah, I like that quote. And
that's
yeah.
that's true. And there is this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem by Maya Angelou that's actually called Phenomenal Woman. And
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. Should we read it or
yes. Oh,
okay?
please do. Yes.
So, Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty woman wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's in the fire of my eyes, and the flash of my teeth, the swing of my waist, and the joy of my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arc of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud, I say. It's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care, 'cause I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me.
I love that. That's a song. I feel like I want to put that to a song, to music.
Oh,
I
and
love that.
and it
Oh, thank
fits
you for
the
that.
topic, right? It fits
Yeah,
this whole
right. It's just, it's so weird that I do believe the universe does this to us. So I literally said her name because I got a quote earlier in the week, and you're like, "Whoa, hold on." So
hold on.
hopefully,
Yay.
our Janie markers, you love that. And till the next time, keep
Remember?
singing. Oh yes, Janie Mac has your back.
Exactly. See you next
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Now, off you go. Do what you do best, which is you.
And Janie Mac the world.